we go.
I love how Steve's just like,
It's so chill.
I know.
I've never heard that, but that's the origin of cap. I'm going to look this up. I'm going to look. There's no principle that
Right.
We have to follow.
Yeah.
We have to have.
be true to yourself. You don't have
And when I came back, the place was a mess. So I knew I was a mess.
Steve in here now. Now
It's incredible.
I love it.
Me
That's
too.
good.
Yeah.
That's good.
And applying the recovery, I thought.
All right, welcome to the McShin Foundation's Get in the Herd podcast here in Richmond, Virginia. We want to do a quick shout out to our sponsors. Up first is the Seed Institute. Seed Institute. If you have any questions about trying to get some trainings, they specialize in trainings, and they also help individuals start their own LLCs. They specialize in startup businesses. They are minority owned as well. So reach out to them, 804-939-0541. And then next up, we have the Farley Center. That was my angel on my shoulder there. We have the Farley Center. They are a treatment center located in Williamsburg, Virginia. If you have any loved ones or anyone that needs some services for substance use disorder and or mental health, give them a call. They have a detox and they take commercial insurances. 804-638-7329. Kelly Eason is the name of their coordinator. Give them a call, the Farley Center. Thank you, Farley Center, for that sponsorship. And then up next, we have Rooted Hair Studios. They are located in Colonial Heights, Virginia. If you give them a call and mention McShin, you'll get 10% off your next hairdo. So go on, get your hair done. Rooted Hair Studio, 804-919-3851. They are located in Colonial Heights, Virginia, and they are locally owned as well. So they're not a whatever commercial brand studio. They're locally owned. So give them a call, 804-919-3851. Mention code McShin, get 10% off. And then we have one last sponsor who wanted to remain anonymous. So we do want to shout them out for that sponsorship. They sponsored the podcast. So I don't have anything to sponsor. I don't have anything to say for them.
Lunch today.
Yes, but we do want to shout them out and say, thank you for that. And we appreciate that. And we appreciate all of our sponsors. And with that, we are going to get into our next episode.
What up? What up? This is Monique, and I'm here with Honesty Liller, our CEO at McShin, and Christina Davis, our program manager. And welcome to our award-winning podcast, Get in the Herd. It is our Women Wednesdays takeover. Women's Takeover Wednesday, maybe?
I don't know.
Maybe that
It's not
sounds better.
official.
I don't know. It's not official. We're working
Make
on
a
it.
hashtag.
Yeah, we're working on it.
I feel like
So we are so excited today. We've been wanting to talk about this for a couple weeks, but we've got some really interesting discussion to go on. Some may find it a little boring, but I was one of those people before. But we are super excited to talk about. We had our Recovery Advocacy Day at the Virginia General Assembly. And we're gonna talk about that today. How's everyone feeling?
I feel great.
Good. After I finish this Celsius, we're looking for sponsors.
Sponsor.
I don't ever drink it. Like I haven't had a Monster ever in my life. Like no offense, Monster, but I've never had an energy since I've been in recovery. I had Red Bulls, like Jaeger and Red Bulls when I was using, but I've never had one this go around of recovery until I found these suckers. And I don't even drink them that much. It's just like I have a headache today and it's like, ooh, I found it in my fridge. So I was like, when you find something that's like not drugs or anything, but like something like you knew it was in there, but you didn't. Then when you see it, you're like, oh man. It's like, so Steve, we might be hype in a minute.
Yes.
Right.
Talking about some advocacy.
There we go.
Yeah.
Look,
Anyway, that's my commercial.
I used to drink Monsters in like 9th grade. 9th grade, because I was like, it was MySpace days, and I was like trying to go for the scene vibe. Y'all remember that? The scene look when you're holding like the monster and you have like the
not
bangs.
MySpace.
And
I remember MySpace. I don't know the scene. I
It
was
wa-
on drugs then.
And my parents made me stop drinking Monsters because there were like football players in Texas from high schools that
their
were like
hearts
having
stopped
heart
and
attacks.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, so now, no Monsters, no Monsters.
I've
Yerba
never-
mate me, if anything.
I've never liked Monster.
I've never
It
Yeah,
reminded
they're
me
disgusting.
of the alcoholic beverage tilt.
They are terrible.
Well,
bad.
maybe they've changed and they're great. So let's
Monster,
move
if y'all
forward.
would like to sponsor us
Sorry,
too, we will
Monster.
take that as well.
There's plenty of people. I see some monsters
Oh, yeah.
in the hallways.
It's very
for
popular.
sure.
All right. So we did have our Recovery Advocacy Day at the General Assembly. It was organized by Sarah Center, Substance Abuse and Advocacy Recovery Association.
And VAR. Yeah.
NVAR, the Virginia Association of Recovery Residences. So they put together this awesome Recovery Advocacy Day where we went up to the General Assembly. It was a huge turnout. I mean, probably like 200 people turned out for this advocacy day. We all had different schedules. We were talking to different legislators and talking about different bills that were going to be coming up in session that could, hinder the recovery movement, help us. And it was just really amazing to be part of that.
Mhm.
And so one of the reasons why I wanted Christina to give us some insight to it today is Christina has had, history with the criminal justice system. And, over the past probably year and a half, 2 years, we've been able to see Christina be able to go into these same institutions, into these same places, and speak and give like a message of hope, talk about recovery, what recovery did for her, and just be there in a different way that she was able to be there. So I wanted to kind of get some perspective on how it felt for you to be able to be in that space.
So for one, when we got in there, it was just like a feeling came over me because we were allowed to come in there, and usually the lifestyle that I lived, I never felt like it would be accepted that I'd be able to go inside the General Assembly building, due to how I was living. But when we went in there, it was a lot going on for one. So I got, a little overwhelmed. I wanted to make sure.
Lots of suits.
It was a lot.
I was like, I just want to make sure that, I'm representing not only my recovery well, but McShin well. And so when we were like going around to the different office buildings, there was one that said, is there anyone out here that has ever been in DOC? So like out of the group that we had of 10 people, it was only 2 of us.
Department of Corrections for anyone that does not know.
Yeah.
Or drug of choice.
Oh, yes. Or drug of choice.
So I raised my hand and I got to go in and sit on a bill that's being passed. So when I was incarcerated, I was through Chesterfield Community Corrections Alternative Programming, which is ran by DOC. So it's like right over by Pocahontas State Park and then the prison. So they made sure that when I was in there that I left with a face sheet. So when you get incarcerated in transition, they do not send your personal property. So that had like my ID, that had my social security card. And by the time I got out, I couldn't get those things back because they destroy them after 6 months in the regular county jail.
Wow.
So they gave me a face sheet, and I took that face sheet to DMV, and I used that and another form of identification, and I got my ID. So the bill that they were trying to pass was to make it mandatory that when you are leaving Department of Corrections that you have to have a face sheet, because we have to rebuild our lives all over again. And not having access to that face sheet, you're just treading water trying to get all of your documents back. So I think that was a great bill to sit in on that's going to be passed because it's needed,
And were you able to talk about your story at all when you were sitting in on them speaking about the bill?
I did mention that I was in a sister program of Department of Corrections, and they made sure that was provided to me. It was a smaller environment of women. It wasn't as big as the correctional facility, but they made sure to have us have home plans. They made sure to give us our face sheets. They made sure that we, if we needed counseling or anything when we left out of there. So I did mention that. I was like, it was really good to have someone sit down with me and I wasn't just a number. I mattered,
Right. And I could only imagine, the obstacles that you face when coming out of incarceration, especially for extended periods of time.
Yes.
and you have, it's not just at that point, we say resume gaps. I mean, what is a resume at that point, but just trying to get back these basic necessities that you need in order to get a driver's license, get a
Right.
state ID, get an apartment. So I definitely think that is, I'm so sorry, y'all. I definitely think that is very much needed. And I didn't realize that they didn't do that already. Like when you get released out of prison, they don't provide you anything. So like you just get released and it's just good luck.
So it's supposed to have been happening. So what was happening is, I guess they did a poll on people that have gotten out of the correction system, and were you provided with the things that you needed, because it does help with the recidivism rate, that you have everything that you need lined up when you get out of there. And apparently it wasn't happening in some places. So that's why the bill got created, because it is very imperative that when you get out that you have these things in order so that you can succeed and not come right back.
Absolutely. And it's different now, because instead of saying you should, now it's going to be you have to do this. You must. You must do these things.
It's like checking our boxes here at
McShin. Right.
Yeah.
And so how did it feel just being able to be in that environment? We're walking around, and I'll try to paint a picture for everyone. We're going in, you have all these tons of lobbyists, all these legislators walking around. You don't know who's who at this point, because everyone's wearing top-notch suits and everyone's dressed very well. Every room seems like it's filled. Literally, it doesn't matter which floor you're on. And then you're interacting with, we had our advocacy day, and I believe there was like a mental health advocacy day as well on that day. So we're running into other advocates, right? How did it feel going in and seeing? To me, what was incredible was going into that house room and seeing 150 recovering addicts just coming and being there, being advocates for themselves. Whether or not they try to dress a certain way or not, everyone was there authentically as themselves, showing up, doing what they were doing what they could. To me, that was like the most incredible feeling.
I think for me, it made me feel better, because I have tattoos on me and stuff, and I don't, in my mind, fit the category of like picture perfect recovering, the way I'm supposed to look. But when I looked around me, I saw people that were just like me. And then with the people that we were there to see, they did not judge us
at all.
Like I didn't feel like I was like, ew, yucky to them. I actually felt like we were welcomed in their space, and they really cared about the message that we were coming to bring. And like, it was really nice.
Isn't it cool?
Yeah.
I will say, it's a really great experience to do this on like the state level, on the state level. I was able to go with Honesty to DC last year for like this Capitol Hill Day, which was like Advocacy Day times 100, right? And we're running, we're trying to run in these little, it reminds me of Wife Swap when King Curtis is like, she can't catch me in them little high heels. We're like running in our like speed walking in these high heels and like professional, we wanted to look the part, and just the chaos of it, but then just like how accomplished it felt at the end of it, and so honestly, how does it feel, with you have all this advocacy experience? How does it feel for you to look and see now that there's other people, other women coming up and like being able to have these experiences and represent McShin?
It rocks. That means I can go do something else. No, but I want to just unpack something that you said, like own your life and own who you are. You're beautiful and gorgeous. Like no matter what tattoos, what piercing, what we have, like look at the life, that you have today. So, and I get it. And I know it's uncomfortable, but you'll get used to that. Like, and that's what I want from both of you is like, as women specifically, like we go into these settings, because I lived it for years here. Like I was a baby, like probably when I started working here. Carol and John taught me really how to advocate and what that even is. And I didn't want to do it. I was hardcore in 12-step. No, I was hardcore in 12-step. I was taught, to be anonymous. And, and I struggled with that for a long time here for the first couple years. So, and I can't even use the word struggle because I don't. I own who I am. I walk into a room. If it doesn't work out like it's supposed to, I move on. You know what I mean? I'll cry, eat ice cream, or jump up and down because I found a Celsius. So, early on the advocacy movement, and John and Carol have been doing this longer than me and before me, but it was hard back then because it was a little different. It wasn't this many people coming in and talking about recovery and peer-to-peer recovery support services and naloxone and saving lives. We were individuals using drugs and we were going to die eventually anyway. So back then, it was 16 years ago or whatever, 15, I don't even know when I started exactly. It was all about still doing it, all about language change. Like Tom Coder, he is amazing. He's going to be our speaker at the founders event. Back then he was working for Faces and Voices of Recovery, and they came here, him and Aaron Kacharski that does the Recovery Advocacy Project. Yeah. When I was a baby in recovery. So they taught us like how to advocate, and really learn the language of recovery instead of, I used to shoot dope in a corner. It's like I was addicted to drugs, substance use disorder. So all the language has changed a ton, and it's still changing. That's why I try to send y'all and give y'all everything. And I talk differently because it just is what it is, because that is when policymakers really started listening. And of course, all the overdose deaths and everything that has happened in the community and across the country. But, Carol taught me a long time ago, because I used to be scared. My heart would pump through my chest. I'd be like, they were like, you could have 1 minute, you can have 10. When she taught me just all kinds of tips throughout the years, like when they close their binder, they're done with you. So, their staffer, you usually meet with the staffer. It's on a good day, you can meet with the actual politician, but I feel, and I was taught, it's more important sometimes to meet with the staffer, because the staffer gets to pick kind of what goes in front of that individual's. These are just some tips, take it or leave it. But then in those individuals' desks. But Carol taught me, like, they both put on one pant leg at a time. And I still say that to this day when I walk up in there. And I don't feel like I'm playing a part. I feel like I'm playing who I am.
Exactly.
I'm just, I don't know, because I dress up still sometimes too. So it's really like, it is nice to dress up, but it's like owning who you are, and it took me a long time to figure that out, because I'm like, oh, nervous and sweating to death in there, and like, very anxious, and like let other people talk. So I just had to learn. And then they turn to you and like, well, they all want a story, a short, condensed, not another tip. They don't want to read your book.
No,
like
they don't.
I wrote, which mine is a short book, 96 pages.
Scatter pink.
But they want how, like, specifically, I always talk about McShin no matter who I'm there for, because I am a product of what not only saved my life, but healed everything about me and healed my family.
Yeah.
And it's important to like remember that when you go into these offices, like, to be the human that you are, represent the organization, because we've done a ton. I can't even tell you how many through Faces and Voices of Recovery advocacy days. We've done Mobilized Recovery. We've done Face and Addiction, NCADD. I've done a ton, but it's always, they want a story of hope. They want a story of, okay, we give you budget line item $10 million, but how is that really going to affect? And then I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to name all these things because of recovery, like peer-to-peer recovery, not just, give us money for treatment or whatever. It's like the peer-to-peer delivered. At least that's what McShin advocates for, recovery support services. So being able to see all y'all do that, like, I guess I kind of feel like hopefully how Carol felt about me and others too. It's like, I'm still going to do it, but it's really cool to be able to like send them and know that everything's going to be okay, because you've already learned so much, at least going with me to DC, because DC is a little bit of a different world. It's a lot of more people to see. It's a lot of federal, and this is different. It's still cool. It's still the same, but it's a lot different, because like I feel also with the differences federal for some reason has more money that you're asking for. There's more people asking for more money because it's the whole United States. So it's Virginia's like, this is your backyard. I don't know. So it's a different feel, but if you stay authentic and you know what you're talking about, it's worth it. I mean, you got to do it, but you usually have, which I'm assuming, because I did not go to this one, I couldn't make that, but I knew they were in great. I told Sarah, I was like, Monique is your girl. Like she is, you know.
I was in her group.
I know. Who? Sarah's? Yeah. So I knew everything was McShin was gonna be well represented. So I slept okay. It was fine. But it's really important for us to continually teach people that come in after us, because that is like how it changed. You said 150 people or whatever it was. I've been somewhere 500, like, you know, and it's a lot of meetings and you got to go and you go all day. So pack snacks, like a granola bar, protein bar, put it in your purse or bag or pocket. You know, don't bring a ton of stuff. Like I've seen a ton of people lugging like their bag and then they regret it all day. I'm just giving like little tips.
I saw people with huge bags and I was just like, no, I literally wouldn't even bring my jacket because I didn't want to. Like I wanted to be so condensed just because I guess I had the experience with you and at Capitol Hill, and I was just like, I don't know how much I'm gonna be walking all this. Like I don't want all that.
Yeah, and you don't know, because I don't remember if our schedules changed any, but sometimes they text you and like, or the app, they like you they got to go in session, emergency, or whatever. Anything can happen. So you always need to be kind of like a mom. You know, you gotta manage your little, but keep it in your car with your snacks because you're going to chuck it in the back seat. So it's like you got. I mean, they have food there too. They have cafeterias and stuff, but sometimes you just don't have that time. You go from house to Senate, and you're like. It looks fine on a map. But
oh my gosh! But walking,
I don't wear heels anymore. I wear flats.
I'm gonna be honest.
You wore heels.
I will still wear those heels.
I don't wear.
It wasn't really the heels that messed me up. It was the dress. It was what I was wearing. But that's okay. I will say I really like. So for everyone that doesn't know, it's like I wanted nothing to do with advocacy, and
you're like a natural born advocate.
But it's so funny because it's like then Nathan left, and I love Nathan, right? And it's like Nathan left, and like Honesty and Jesse, they sit me down, and Honesty's like, so you're gonna be taking over some of this stuff, and I was like, this was the one thing I said, because as a Black woman, I just genuinely and this is a dense thought, you know, and it's like I just genuinely thought it didn't matter because I've always felt like policies never have ever benefited people that look like me or people that I know, right? And so then once getting into it and having the experiences of going and talking and then like seeing on the back end of like, oh, what can this funding do? And or what does this policy actually do? Like this actually expands access for, you know, people of color, or, you know, this actually helps give people avenues out of like criminalization and towards treatment, or, you know, there's so much more that goes into it. So then it was like, oh, now I love it. Like I love it. And I'm like, you know, and I will say being at the Virginia General Assembly, it was kind of cool because everything was smaller. Like we didn't have to worry about walking 10 blocks within 15 minutes.
And that heat. Remember, it was so
it was
hot.
So hot.
Gosh,
you know,
we were like,
it was
bring
just,
some
everything was and it was cool because like, you know, we got to see, or I got to see some of like the fruits of the labor of doing this work with McShin, like seeing, you know, Abigail Spanberger, love Congresswoman Spanberger, love you, Abby, and just like seeing people and then them knowing you from McShin, and talking about and telling other legislators like, oh, do you know these people? This is from McShin. McShin does incredible work, and just knowing and seeing the impact that people, we really do matter.
Exactly.
You know, like they actually. Sometimes it seems like maybe they're listening and maybe they're not. And then you go back and you're like, man, they were listening. They actually care about us, or they actually see the work that we're doing and care about people with substance use disorder. So I just think that's like the best part of that is like, or for me, because I was in such like a negative like I was in a negative space about it at first. And just to be able to see that, it just gives me so much hope. And
She
just
used to talk to us about it. She was like, I am not okay with
I
this.
literally, I was like,
No,
so,
she's in mom's. Okay.
yeah, I know. I was like, I'm gonna do it, you know. And I'm one of those. I'm stereotypical millennial. Like I will say yes, and then be like, I didn't like that, you know. And then, but it's actually a good thing because I'm just like so pleasantly surprised, and I feel like that's one of the things that I love about working here and working at a nonprofit. You're always going to end up, everyone has 50,000 roles. We all know that, you know. We work at a nonprofit, but it's like you stay around long enough and then you just find more and more things about your roles that you just love.
Yeah.
And so I'm just like in that season right now where it's just like it just feels good, you know. And it's just, you know, a great
What is that?
window
It
open.
sounds like a lawnmower.
What is that? Look out there. We can't. Adam doesn't do the stuff here anymore, so I can't text him and say stop.
I know that.
Yeah, I see dust and
You do?
stuff, I think.
Yeah, it's a leaf blower.
Oh wow. No, they're
It's a
vacuuming.
vacuum.
It's the vacuum.
Why did it sound like a leaf
Do
blower?
we
It
not
does
have the on-air? Oh, they're not
We do
looking
have
up.
that.
Because
I
I
mean,
feel like it was coming from the
It
I
window.
did
feel
sound
like
like
it
it.
sees
It's
these
these.
things. They're trippy. Well, I don't know if you want to edit that. I don't care if you do or not. But let me unpack something though. So like we need people like you and specifically young people of color to be in these spaces because it's been missing for a long time. It's changing and it looks better and it's getting better, but that is one of the main reasons also. It's like I knew just from knowing you the little bit that I have known you since you've been here after Nathan left, I was like I thought like she would ideally be perfect because you have so much passion and heart in what you do here and the humans that we serve in programming and like everything. I was like, it's really cool, yes, to be like Mama Bear sitting up in the tree and like seeing some of you really like thrive, not that, but some roles specifically for each of you individuals is like really seeing you thrive and like look how much you've learned and how much you want to keep doing. And to be honest, like they need to keep hearing it. Like I have all these years like talked and I've been burnt out on it. I've like been frustrated. Like I would go home to Adam, which is my husband, and like, you know, are they listening to me? I've talked to John about it for years. It's like, because a lot of it's like they shake their head, but you know, sometimes in certain situations they need votes. Not this situation, but like if they come around and stuff. But the reality of it is if we stop talking and be silent, how in the hell are we going to keep helping people?
That's true.
So it's like we have to make change within our organization, within around us, and then outside in the community. And that's what we do really well here at McShin. And it's like being able to like see you guys like go in there and do what you can and own it. And when we were in DC and like really learning, because by the end, I think I remember by the end of it, I was like, where's my Uber? I feel old. Like I've been doing this for like 15 years. Like not every day. I'm not a lobbyist by any means. It's like a few times a year I do it, but it's like, you know, it's just really cool because I need to be over here doing these other things. It's just really cool to, yeah, I probably did because we did Uber, I think that day.
Yeah.
I was like, you're like, oh, I'm like, where's the Uber?
Let's keep going.
The Uber. I need my snacks in my Starbucks.
Look, I was on an adrenaline rush. This is my first Capitol Hill day. So I was like, let's keep going.
Yeah. And I still love doing it. I love like Abby. I love like being able to like be a part of all of that stuff too. So it's really cool to still do all of that stuff, but it's also cool to like see the next generation like be voices because I'm not going to be here forever. So y'all like, you know, the other staff need to. No, I'm not. But I mean, not forever.
Maybe she'll be our next congresswoman.
No, that's what. No. I've already made that clear with people. No.
That'd be kind of cool.
That's just not my jam. It's nothing wrong with it. It's just not my jam. I like, you know, I like what I do, but I love what I do. But yeah, I mean, I think y'all will learn even more, and it's important to like keep being that voice, but also learn. And also like I've had to learn to like to scale it back throughout the years. This else is maybe burp, excuse me. Instead of going, hardcore, because I used to go in hot, like McShin, and then I was this, and then I had to finesse it and really finesse. And like now how I deliver stuff and how I'm teaching you how to deliver stuff, like that's the years of like finessing it and seeing other people and, mentors, Carol, obviously, but other people that I've gone like through NCADD and all those and Faces and Voices and all of them and watching them. And, it's really important to be, finessed too. And always learning because the terminology changes and the humans in office change.
Absolutely.
So it's like Democratic, Independent, Republic, whatever. Like you have to if you're always yourself and speak the truth about McShin and what we do here, then you're fine, And a bill might not get passed or the legislator might not get elected, but it's like then then who's next? Like who do we invite to our events?
We didn't
or
just
whatever?
lose.
It's like you just keep. It's just part of the jam. Like it's just
part of the jam.
I mean, it just is. We just keep doing it because if we don't, like I said, like we need different laws in the state. We need more funding for substance use disorders, women and children, persons of color. We need all of that. So we have to keep advocating because what the hell? Like we had to, you know what I mean?
It McShin that helped pass the bill for the
Narcan bill,
the overdose law.
Yes.
Right? So we were part of the legislation. Actually, John O'Bannon and Betsy Carr for the naloxone, and they are getting awarded at the Founders. Hope they know. I don't know if they watch this,
think
but
they do.
I think John told them.
They do.
So that was a while back, and then we've been a part of a bunch of them that at least like, I don't know if our name is necessarily like in them, but we've definitely advocated for a ton of bills throughout the years.
I fell under that law because when I did have my overdose, it protected the person that called for me.
That's the safe harbor one though, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought that was pretty neat.
I know there was one that I thought it was that one, like the Good Samaritan.
Good Samaritan.
One.
Yeah. Safe harbor.
She was harbor, isn't that a shelter?
Yes, because they were just talking. I told y'all my name, my drink today. They were just talking about that. Look, hey, I'm CEO, but I'm not perfect. But yes, you were correct. The Good Samaritan, but that has been tweaked throughout the years too.
Yeah.
So it originally went out, I want to say like 4 or 5 years ago, but then you have to. So what you'll learn and what I had to learn too, and I didn't want to do it either, but I've learned a lot and I don't know all the answers. So don't call me for like big questions, but, is you could go back. You can go back every year and add language and amendments. Like we're doing the budget amendment now. Like you can go back and ask for something different or tweak something or the terminology or the percentage or blah, blah, blah of something that's already passed. So I know that's been changed. Or
I think that one originally passed in 2018.
Yeah.
And then they had an amendment in like 2021 or something.
I don't know the exact dates, so I'm not big on the date thing either, but yeah, I mean, so you can go in, we can go, but you have to have a policymaker like in your corner, an advocate for that.
I'm just glad somebody was there to advocate for that because it actually saved me from going to prison.
Yeah.
So, like that is near and dear to me, and to know that McShin may have had a part in that. Like
we did.
Like
one
badge of honor.
Yeah.
Like,
knocking on doors.
And think about how many lives that like that saved, the fact that passed, because how many people back before that was passed would just die because people are scared to call. They're gonna dip, like they're not trying to get charged
too, unfortunately.
Well, yes,
because
but
it's still in the systematic individual that's institutionalized.
And
I'm not one, but I have experience of talking to people here that it's still like, it's still that fear, so it's like important for us as recovering humans to like talk about it and share about it. And I used it, and I, like that's why our participants, we teach them how to like tell their story and advocate, because it's still, that particular one is still no, I'm going
right.
I say the fuzz. I don't even know.
No.
Wyatt, my 14-year-old's like, what's the fuzz? Because like if a cop goes by, it's like old terminology before even my time.
I've never
heard of that.
Have you heard of the fuzz? Thank you. 43 years old here.
No.
So like I don't know what the police
Oh.
people.
Oh, 50.
Well,
The police. 12.
So they're still, individuals that are still scared. Like even
Yeah.
though this law is hanging over here, and a lot of them don't
Absolutely.
even know about it.
Exactly.
I mean, so it's like not like billboards.
Which
Like
is
if you
why-
overdose,
right.
you're not going to jail.
Yeah.
There's no like. So unless we tell people about it,
Yeah.
and that's another part of advocacy.
Right.
Yes.
It's like what we do here at McShin. It's not just General Assembly and DC.
Right.
It is
Mhm.
So
like this
much
is
more.
what we do. We are all natural born advocates. With some need some finesse and some terminology and all of
Mhm.
that. Like all of us have, like myself. But this is what we do every day in some
Yeah.
form or fashion. Like we advocate not just for change, but like what recovery is and how it can
Mhm.
help an individual and a family.
I love it.
So yeah, I mean, we're just all advocates up in here.
Mhm.
I love it. Okay, so while we're wrapping up, let's see. What do I want to wrap up with? Christina,
What?
what would you like to see happen within the recovery community in 2024?
That more people make the change for good, because I live in a part of town where I have to drive through places that I used to be at,
Mhm.
and I still see some of the same people out there. And then I still see a lot of people still out there, and I feel like that they don't know a way out. I would like to see more people show up at our front door that we can help because it works. Because I was a person that had no hope. I never thought my life could get any better. So I just want to see more people take a chance on life. That's what I want to see.
I love that. What I hear that translates to is more outreach.
Oh my gosh.
Honesty. What about you? What would you like to see 2024 bring for the
That-
recovery community?
That $1 million grant.
Please.
That $1 million grant. For the recovery community as like a whole is unity. I think that's a huge part of like what y'all saw and what happened. I think we need to all, try to remain positive because it's a lot out there that we're fighting. So just like unity and like love and healing and really advocating for what is right for the humans that we serve. I don't know, just everyone just try to be a good human is really what I want on this planet. But I manifest stuff, y'all know that. But all I can really do is work on me to be the best human I can be, and let that trickle down to you guys, and then y'all teach me. You teach me so much, like you don't even know how
I
much
know.
you
Next
teach
up, I'm
me.
going to teach her how to Dougie.
Oh yeah. Oh, I don't know how to do
way.
that. I can do the whip. Watch me, Nene. I can do that.
Monique is never gonna have me dance.
I have my own dances that I don't know. They're not called. They're called white girl dancing. I don't know. They're called something. Yeah. But yeah, that's it. Yeah, we got a bunch of stuff coming up too. We're having a golf tournament May 16th, so we're looking for sponsors for that and golfers. It's our alumni golf tournament, but other people come too. It's really fun. And then we have the founders event March 14th.
March 14th.
Yeah,
Thursday,
so that's
March
honoring John
14th.
and Carol and a bunch of awardees. And then March 8th is International Women's Day. So She Recovers is putting that on again this year. And we're going to have a huge watch party in our alumni room. So if you're a female alumni and would like to attend that, that's March 8th, 6 to 8-ish. We're going to do it down in the alumni room. So yeah, have food and all of that stuff as well. Yeah.
Well, thank you both.
Thank you
for coming on our show today. And with that being said, we are out. Everyone stay positive, show love, be kind to one another.
Peace.
Bye.
Bye.